Hello, welcome back to our channel. This is Patricia, and I have a special guest today, and I brought in my husband,
What's going on, guys?
Alan.
There you go.
There you go. So today we wanted to talk about marriage. I don't think you guys know that we have a multicultural marriage. My husband is African American from Arkansas, and I am from Africa, the Congo, like the motherland, real Africa. I like to say that. So we are an African American couple, but like for real, like he's American and I'm African.
I think they get it.
Okay. I was just trying to say. But anyway, so today we're just going to talk a little bit about our marriage story, just to bring in two people from two different cultures,
Right.
and how, those early days when we got married. It's going to be 7 years next month, and on September 16th that we have been married. So, yeah, it's been a pretty interesting journey.
We're
So
coming up on September, so you can say it is.
Oh, it is September,
it is
yeah.
September.
But September 16th is the anniversary.
Right.
So,
So, yeah.
but anywho, so we, I just kind of wanted to talk about the whole journey. So,
What do you want to know? What do you want to talk about?
well,
The
you know,
difference?
the difference is like for
Yeah.
you, being African American, getting married to a African woman and coming into an African family. I'm pretty sure there was a lot of culture shock when you first came in.
A little bit.
So yeah, so talk a little bit about what was like a culture shock when you came, across my family.
Well, I figured for me anyway, I felt that like the language barrier, that would be a mix because you speak French or your family speaks French majority of the time. Most of your brothers and sisters speak English pretty well, no
Right.
problem.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, we speak English, we
misunderstanding
speak
that, I
French,
guess, was
and we speak Lingala.
right.
But for the majority of part, when we get together with my parents and my siblings,
Right.
there's a lot of
Going back
French
and
going
forth,
on.
yeah.
Well, really like Franglish, because we mix French words and English words.
Right.
So poor Alan, when he came in there, he had to try to translate all that. So my parents speak English, but they have very thick accent. Of course, they came here late, so that accent just doesn't go away. So,
But
yeah.
I made it through. I'm still
he made
in
it through.
7 years,
Yeah.
Still
No.
in here, so.
And what I really loved about Alan is that he was very, I guess, culturally competent in the sense that he.
That's a good word.
Yeah,
Competent.
yeah, because he
like
was
that.
just like very adaptable. Because I was kind of worried about, I never did an African American person before, so I never brought in an African American man in the house. So I just didn't know how that dynamic was gonna look like. Is he gonna think that we're weird or loud and all of that? Our food is different, our music is different, all of that stuff. So I was a little bit worried. I was not worried, but nervous. But he was just very adaptable, and they just loved him because he made them feel comfortable. They felt just really, comfortable around him. Besides the language barrier, it wasn't even a language barrier. Besides really the difference in language, you wouldn't know that we were different.
Right. That I didn't know the language or anything like that.
Exactly.
I guess for me, I guess I go from this principle that when you love people, when you interact, because people are people regardless the language, regardless of color. We have our little differences, but for the core, we're all the same. So if you can make people laugh, if you can make people feel comfortable, then at the end of the day, I feel like that's a breeze. And if you don't master that, then that's all I had to lean on. Was making people comfortable and understanding too.
But I think it's definitely a gift, because I don't think, I think people mean well, but they don't necessarily know how, and they don't necessarily, feel it the same way. They mean, but, it just doesn't come to them naturally when it's a new environment or a new culture. But I think you have that gift, because not only with my family,
You see how she's praising me right now?
Yeah, but just a moment right here. Anyways, but I think that he really has that gift, because even for a little while we were going to an African church, and even other people where you let's say maybe with my family, you had an interest because you were trying to get me, so you had to impress them. But that's how I know that it's a gift, because regardless, even when you go to just like the African community and those people, they just feel very comfortable with you. That's why they always say is that, Alan made me, he's just like one of us. Like sometimes they even forget that you are, American. So yeah, so that was a blessing. But that was one culture shock. So the language barrier.
Yeah.
What else?
See, what else was another barrier that I may have? Just understanding the culture.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. From coming from when we got married, well, especially here in America and probably more other cultures, it's the ring is the symbolizing of the engagement that you really, love this person, and it's all about the ring for the ladies and stuff like that. So for me, yeah, the ring was good, but the dowry process was, which I took it as a scavenger hunt, but nevertheless, the dowry process was a real big thing in your culture.
Okay, so let me explain for those of you that may not know what a dowry is. So with a lot of African culture, and I think even some Asian culture like Indians, you give the dowry, which is usually like a list of items that the bride's family writes down and gives to the groom, potential groom, to fulfill as a symbol that you want to marry this woman. So back home you will bring things like cows and sheeps and goats and things like that. There's a long list, and there is some cash involved,
TVs
and TV, like special attire, clothing. So the list can be very wide, and some people can be really extreme with that list, and some people can be really conservative. So my father, when he came, first of all, he told me that he was interested. He was wanting to marry me.
And I had to take advantage of that time. Because
my father doesn't live here, so he only comes maybe twice a year. So he was coming. And I told him, if you're really serious about this thing, my dad is coming, because it's a long process. You have to write a letter, first of all. So it's like a proposal letter. And then once they approve your letter, he consults with the uncles and the aunties back home. And then they come up with the list. And then
everybody got their needs.
Right. And then once you fulfill that list, then, basically at that point, they give you my hand. But
it felt more meaningful.
It definitely does. I think so.
Not that the ring doesn't, but for me, the going to get the different things and everybody playing a part, those that were influential in your life, making them feel pleased that you're safe with me. You can be safe. You can be trusted with Alan. And so I guess it goes right back to making the culture feel comfortable, again. So lean back on that again and make them feel comfortable that I did what I said.
A lot of it is really just honoring. You honoring the culture, you honoring the parents, you honoring the family, because you are fulfilling this desire, this list that they ask of you. So it's just really a sign of respect and honor. You're not buying the woman. You're not buying the woman. My father did not want him to have the idea that he was purchasing his wife. So he didn't ask for cash at all. He just gave him a long list of things, like a whole lot of alcohol, all kind of wines, white wine, beer, things like that. He had to get some outfit for my uncle,
super wax,
my auntie.
For the aunties and
Right. So that's a special fabric that you find in Africa. I mean, you can find it here too. It's a lot more expensive. So, it's kind of like challenging him to go above and beyond. So I explained that to him, because I was like, I know you worried about getting me a ring, but honestly, like, I couldn't care about the ring. I'm like, if you don't honor this dowry part, there won't be no marriage. So like, save your money on the ring. So he did that, and you brought.
I mean, I guess it worked out.
It worked out, because here we are 7 years later.
So,
but
that was really fun. I lean more on having fun with it, having honor. You mean something to them, because they could be like, no, you can just have my daughter.
Right. And that
her
happens.
being the oldest of her siblings, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
this was like the first girl being married for real, you know.
Yeah, from
From
my,
the family.
my mother's side.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 And so like really, really honoring that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So I mean it was awesome just to see both families come together.
Oh yeah, that
honoring
was
the
another
culture.
big thing too.
Yeah, because his family was coming and they had, I guess there was some kind of expectations of, you know, okay, this African girl, how is this gonna go, whatever. But to be honest, it turned out to be like coming to America type of wedding, because because
my grandmother, she still talks about it.
Yeah, they still talk about it, because I think just my family really wanted to honor them and make them feel welcome. And I come from a family where they kind of are extra, like they try to do everything big. So that was that. So I guess it worked out really well. Like everybody had fun. They were made, they felt very comfortable, and it was kind of like an introduction to them also to what the African culture is like. So we tried
nothing like the Discovery Channel.
Yeah, no, so it was like the real. We had African music, African food. It was a 3-day wedding, because in Africa, well, at least in my part of the country, the dowry is a whole ceremony all by itself, and that's the traditional wedding, so the African wedding. And then you have the civil wedding, which is basically you are married in the land and you go to justice of the peace, but that's a party all by itself. You get dressed up and all that. And then you have the white wedding, which is the religious wedding, where you go to church before God, especially when you are believers. For the Christians, that's the one that we really count as before God, before we actually can come together. But in the African culture, what they consider the most is the dowry, the African wedding, because at that point you're already considered married.
I think one of the things that was really amazing too to know is how both of our parents and grandparents, the community, your side and my side, really just came together. Because it wasn't like I took you back home multiple times so that they knew who you were.
Right.
I took you home, of course.
Once,
but it wasn't like, oh, they know who Patricia is. And even then, they loved you just hearing me talk about you when you got the introduction.
Yeah, we talked on the phone, but that was.
I'm talking about grandparents, aunties, all that, cousins. Everybody just really embraced you from the beginning.
That was a blessing.
And then to see like, okay, now it's go time, it's wedding.
Yeah.
That was just a height, of excitement, of enjoy. Everybody enjoyed themselves. Like I said, it's been 7 years and people are still talking about it. And that was our prayer when we, prayed about the wedding and stuff, that everybody would have a good time and that they would enjoy themselves.
Right. That just, God's presence was in there. That was always our prayer, that the presence of God will be there. There wouldn't be any of the, the craziness that sometimes you see between families, that there wouldn't be, any of the misunderstandings. So everybody had fun. I mean, like, it was every wedding has its kind of hiccups and everything, but I can say the day of, it was stress-free. Stress-free wedding. So
and the families were great.
Yeah, the families did, there was nobody acting out or acting a fool, so it worked out. So what else would you say, since coming into my culture, would you say that was different? Beside the dowry, so that was the, what about the food? Because that was one thing that was a little bit nerve-wracking for me, because I've always kind of cooked African / European type of dishes, because the Congo was colonized by Belgium. So Belgium, we have a lot of that influence, kind of like the French, because we speak French. So you have a lot of the French culture, the Belgian culture. So we do a lot of things kind of like, in the European thing, because that's who we were colonized by. So I was kind of nervous. I was like, I don't know how to cook African American food, because he liked he's from the South, so he liked certain Southern food. And when he brought me home, his grandmother made some amazing greens. Amazing. So you like the real greens and
Barbecue chicken, mac
fried
and
chicken,
cheese,
mac and cheese,
cornbread,
pound
come
cake
on.
every Sunday. So so I wanted to kind of make him feel
Right.
home, to have that kind of. So I started learning, but in the beginning, it was interesting, like the food, right?
It was interesting. The food wasn't the interesting part, but I'll get to that later.
Okay.
I would say that, I mean, the food, it was, like I said, once again, you bringing in your newness, your uniqueness. I like what you were a good cook,
Shout out.
So, I mean, fish.
Thank you.
Lots
of fish.
What else?
Pondu.
Pondu, come on.
Which is like the cassava leaves. It's like the African version of greens.
Right.
But it's like the popular one. Right. Yeah.
Okay, I will confess that I have never eaten so much rice in my life, though.
Yeah.
Prior to that,
we
though,
do eat a
because
whole lot of rice.
everything is rice.
Yeah.
Component plantains.
Yeah.
Shout out to plantains. Those are
Beignets.
some of the good things. Yes, and beignets, different from Louisiana, totally different.
Yeah, nothing to do with Louisiana beignets. Yeah.
What would you call those? Like little
They're
donut
like little
balls.
Donut balls. Yeah.
Yeah. Those are some of my favorites. You do make this one. Well, you don't make it, but the peanut butter dish.
You don't eat that.
Yeah, I don't.
I don't. You don't like that. Yeah. So anyway, you more like the pondu, the beignet, the rice.
Because it's lacking to greens.
And then you like the saltfish.
Yeah.
Also salad. Yeah. So
and Thompson, shout out to Thompson.
He just discovered Thompson.
No, Thompson will save your life. It really will.
I mean, it's fish.
If Thompson, really, if you're watching,
the poor dude is dead.
Oh.
I mean, I'm serious. Like, I just found out too. Stop it.
Thompson,
he's resting in peace. No, I just found out that Thompson, we've been calling this fish Thompson all of our lives growing up.
What is it really?
But to be honest, Thompson is like, how the chicken brand, you have Tyson.
Chicken brands?
It's the brand. The company name was Thompson, like, Tomson. It was the name, so they would ship those food to Africa.
That's kind of like saying, hey man, let's eat some of these Popeyes.
And why? So we thought the chicken was actually called, like, it would be like we thought the chicken was called Popeyes, but we thought the fish was called Thompson. Until I came to America and realized, no, it's the brand name. The box was Thompson. Anyway, but this fish will probably be equivalent to, is it like a red snapper?
Okay.
You would say?
Yeah, I guess so.
Similar to that, so a different kind of fish, but the way you season it and then you cook it, it's just good.
I'm going to give a shout out to Sarah, because she the one that introduced me to it.
Yeah,
so I want to give a shout out to Sarah. You know who you are.
So anyways, so the Thompson changed his life. But it did. I need to start making more Thompson anyways. So so that was some of the food. Yeah. Now, on my end, when he brought me home,
what would you say?
It was Thanksgiving, so of course everybody's like cooking their best.
That's like
right.
So that's like the Hall of Fame.
That's really what was my first introduction to like real African American cuisine, because I had lived here, Southern style, but even regardless, I just never really had homemade African American food like that, because we lived here, but like I said, I had some friends that were African American, but never really that close where I went to see family, grandmother, and things like that. So this was my first introduction, and my expectation was kind of like Madea, family reunion. That's what I had in my head. So when we went to his grandmother, which the kids call, Big Mama.
Big Mom.
Yeah, it was pretty close. Tyler Perry was pretty close trying to educate the people. But yeah, because it was really close, because she, it's Big Mama, all the kids and the grandchildren, everybody come to her home on Sundays for after church meals. Right. And, she throws down every weekend.
But this is Thanksgiving.
But then this was Thanksgiving. Yeah. So she had, like I said, the greens, the fried chicken, sweet potato pie, pound cake, cornbread. I mean, you name it, the table was full. Yes. So, I really got to experience the whole that Southern, hospitality and food, and it was amazing. I mean,
how was that experience for you, though?
It was great. I felt very welcome. I know he had one aunt that tried to give me a hard time, but now we're like best friends. But yeah, she did try to give me a hard time to really see what I was about. But you know, I love her now. Shout out to Aunt Bev. But anywho, so that was that one part. And you know, one thing that was kind of nerve-wracking too is that his parents were divorced. So when I came home to his home, I stayed with his mom the first night. And he stayed with his dad. So that, you know, I didn't really know how it was going to go. But, you know, prior to even meeting Alan, I had been praying for my relationship with my mother-in-law. Because I saw my mom had a really poor relationship with her mother-in-law. So I really wanted my relationship with my mother-in-law to be, you know, not what the status quo is, you know, even in you know, our society, you know, the mother-in-law relationship has always had this negative connotation. And I really asked the Lord that I don't want that. I want to change that. I want to have a great relationship with my mother-in-law. So I had started praying for her before I even knew her or met her. And one of the things that I had asked the Lord to know if Alan was truly the one, it will be from my relationship with his mother. And you know, that first night,
Mom got the win.
She did, because I mean, that first night we spoke. I mean, we talked, and just like we knew each other, you know, all our lives, and we spoke like till late at night. And you know, I mean, I just felt really welcome. You know, I felt like, you know, this is mom, and until today, you know, I call her mom. Like I feel like she's truly my like my biological mom. So I've been really blessed, and I know that, you know, God answered my prayer with that. So
and likewise, I can say, your parents both embraced me like, you know, the eldest son. So I'm grateful for that. So that kind of has been the dynamic, getting married to the two different cultures. The next thing that we're really hoping, by God's grace, next year be able to go back home so he can actually see where I came from and experience. That's actually where Ali had his fight with Foreman. It was in my country, in the Congo. So we're hoping to go, you know, in the next year or so, and you know, so he'll get to see. Because I think certain things it will make more sense to you once you really see where I came from. You know, But yeah, so that's that. So tell us, you know, your multicultural stories. You know, for those of you who have been married to, you know, from two different cultures or two different ethnicity or countries. Like, how did you adjust with that? You know, because I know it can be challenging. Just getting married with somebody from the same country is challenging. You know, same language. But now when you mix like two different cultures, that's a whole other story. So I would like to hear that. And if y'all have any questions for us, you know, write down in the comments below. Thank y'all so much for watching, and please share and subscribe. Thank y'all. Thank you for inviting me as well.
Yeah, thank you for being my guest.
And hopefully I can get on another time.
Maybe. We'll see how they like you.
Oh, okay. Wow. All right. See you later.
Thank y'all. Bye.